Mr. Feagles, did you get a chance to look at the NFC East standings today?
I didn't even have to look at them. I knew exactly what happened last night, or yesterday.
Indeed. The New York Giants at 4-7 with their first three-game winning streak since 2016, by virtue of a sweep over Washington, are in first place.
Mm-hmm. Typically, the record is switched around. You would think somebody in first place at 7-4, but 4-7 will work. Three-game winning streak. Team learning how to win, as we call that. Played well. I mean, you always want one side of the football to help you out, right? And the defense certainly did that yesterday for the Giants. Absolutely.
19-17 victory over the Bengals. The Giants' first win in Cincinnati in 7 all-time trips. That has not been a pleasant city for this franchise. Now, before we go anywhere else, we might as well tell you that Daniel Jones is having an MRI on his injured hamstring today. Coach Joe Judge made that announcement following the game. He will not be addressing the media, that is Coach Judge, until around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So until such time, I don't expect that anybody is going to have any further items to advance that story. So anything we tell you is strictly based on what we saw or what was said during the post-game press conference. I will tell you that any speculation you see out there is strictly speculation and doesn't really hold any water whatsoever. Now, having said all of that, Jeff, let me ask you, as someone who is very attuned to the body and all the medical things that can go wrong, I mean, as a punter, you certainly knew a lot about leg injuries and lower body injuries. You were telling me before we came on the air today that there are different styles and types of hamstring injuries, and that's part of what the Giants are going to try to investigate.
Yeah, and I think the MRI will show most of it, but until then, I mean, there's different types of injuries. There's different types of people, Paul. Everybody heals differently. And then, the hamstring is tricky because you have points of where the hamstring attaches to the back of the knee and the hamstring goes up into the butt, muscle. So there's areas where high and low and degrees in separation. You have the torn hamstring, then you have a pulled hamstring. You're hoping that Daniel Jones is a pulled hamstring where it's just a muscle pull. And, those things can heal quicker than a torn hamstring, which really takes a long time to heal. And I've seen guys where they've torn their hamstring, then, 3 hours later, the back of their leg is black and blue. So it looks like somebody shot you. And it's not pretty. And so hopefully Daniel Jones gets a good prognosis, and he's a quick healer, and we know he's a tough guy. But the bottom line here is they'll do the right thing and try to keep Daniel Jones healthy enough to not injure him further so that he doesn't lose any more games going forward.
Yeah, I think that's the big key here because you want to be smart with him, Jeff. You have 5 games left to play. You are in the middle of a division race. And if you feel as though, I'm speculating, this is not a trainer's decision or a coach's decision that I'm giving you. I'm simply saying if I'm the coach, I'm trying to also weigh the fact that, you know what, maybe if you give him that 1 week, you get him for the next 4 games, as opposed to if you try to finesse it and get through, is it something that's going to recur or give him problems, and then maybe you don't have him for the last 4 games?
Yeah, they're going to err on, the side of making sure that he's 100% healthy. You don't want to sit – they're not going to send him out there 95%. He's going to have to be able to show – on the sideline and do the things at practice that he's able to play, because you certainly do not want to put your team at risk too. You want to make sure you have the right person on the field, and, is a 99 or 98% Daniel Jones better than a 100% McCoy? I would say so, but we'll have to see. I think this is going to be drawn out down to the Friday before they leave to go out to Seattle. We're going to find out something.
To look at Daniel Jones's quotes yesterday when he was available on the video post-game Zoom call, his quote was, "Certainly not discouraged. It's tough to tell exactly what it is right now." To paraphrase, he certainly said he thinks it'll be a day-to-day situation. He'll do everything he can to rehab it after getting the MRI today. And obviously, he's in the hands of the trainers. And the Giants have, arguably the best medical staff in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, with the new protocols around the NFL on Mondays and Tuesdays, it's depending on, I don't know where the medical goes there, but, he's got to get some rehab right away. and get that stuff done. I'm sure he's down. Either he's already been there or he's somewhere. Their hospital special surgery is usually where guys go for the MRIs. I don't know if they still do it anymore, but that's where we went when I played, and they'll figure something out. But they're going to get him on he's going to get in the training room and he's going to get his rehab, and they'll start working that thing around the clock. For sure.
973-667-1960 is our phone number. New York Lottery is the presenter of Big Blue Kickoff Live. They have released their seasonal scratch-off games once again. Head to your nearest retailer for the chance to win up to $500,000. Please gift responsibly. Jeff, quickly to recap what happened yesterday with the Giants' victory. Going into the game, and I don't back off of this. I mean, I'm always here to answer to anything that I say or try to analyze. I thought it was important for the Giants to put the hammer down on a team that was shorthanded and a team that, in my opinion, did not have the roster to measure up to the Giants. I fully said the Giants must drop the hammer down on this team, convincingly beat them to show that they have taken another step along the lines of becoming a winner. Now, they did that offensively and defensively. Certainly, they held the Bengals to about 150 yards of total offense. There's little question. They had the 3 sacks. They had, the turnovers. Defensively, that was an A game. There's nothing wrong with what they did defensively. I'll take that performance any day of the week. Offensively, I probably would have given them a B. They had a few miscues, but I'll give them a B up until the time that Daniel Jones came out, and then obviously all bets are off there when Colt McCoy is thrust into an emergency situation. So I felt pretty good about the offense and defense. But, Jeff, as we've discussed so many times, people often forget about the third part of the game. And
often?
This is
Always.
right?
Yeah.
And this is the one game this year where the Giants special teams did not live up to their billing. And I like to put on my coach's hat when I do these programs, and I like to analyze things. And if I'm head coach Joe Judge, I'm pretty angry with the special teams folks because, and hopefully this was only an aberration for their sake, but the Giants nearly lost this game primarily because of special teams play yesterday.
Yeah, field position. And, when you look at, so the kickoff return for a touchdown right after the halftime, that's just basically not being ready to play. They executed the return. There was a lot of missed tackles, which there always are on the returns for touchdowns. Okay, so that's just basically mental mistakes and not getting ready to come out of the tunnel and be ready to play into the second half. They caught you off guard.
You mean the 103, which happened early in the game?
Excuse me. That's right. The 103.
Yeah,
that's right.
Wilson with the longest play in Bengals history.
I apologize for that. Yeah, right after, exactly. So the Giants go down on a great score, right, and then they end up kicking off, and boom, it's right back in. So the guys just, they just weren't ready. The fake punt, nothing happened from it because the Giants were able to get an interception right after that. But
yeah,
that play there was designed, and Lance and I talked about this in the post game yesterday. Teams that are not supposed to win, like the Cincinnati Bengals playing with a backup quarterback, what do they need to do? They need to do something to switch up the momentum of a game and get field position and different things, and that's on special teams. So the Giants should have been aware that they were going to be some sort of a trickery here and there, but they ran an perfectly executed fake punt there. Luckily, nothing happened from it. And then
before you go any further, I do want to give plaudits to Julian Love for making a one-on-one tackle, because if he doesn't make that play, it's a lot of yardage.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Joe Judge says this all the time. He doesn't believe in momentum, but I've been in 350 games in my career. I understand about momentum, and believe me, fake punts and block kicks in the special teams, those are momentum changers. Those are turnovers, and so that's a big play in the game. And then that shouldn't happen. It's just not being prepared. And I don't mean that they didn't pay attention all week to what was going on. They just didn't have their daubers up in the game. They down and distance, situational football. And then the last one is the one that really got me, because, the other ones you kind of skated through. You gave up a touchdown, that's going to happen. But the team rallied back to be able to take the lead. And then when you get the lead in the fourth quarter, you have your 4-minute offense that you got to run the clock, make first downs, right? Make them burn their timeouts. But on special teams, you got to make plays on special teams in the fourth quarter when you're sent out there to do it. And that punt was those are the situations where I remember Coughlin always used to tell me, just kick it out of bounds 45 yards. I don't want the guy to return it because we don't want to take that into consideration. And so, they lapsed in that, and it almost cost them the game. And luckily, the defense bailed them out. So the defense bailed the special teams out really twice out of the 3 plays. They got a sack, fumble recovery, and they got an interception after 2 big plays in special teams. So thank you, defense. Thank you.
I don't know what happened with Riley Dixon on that last punt when Erickson, nearly broke it and Cam Brown had to make a touchdown-saving tackle. But we can say that Graham Gano on his post-game video call said he was not supposed to kick that ball down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And he miskicked it.
Sure.
And he took a lot of the blame for that, and then also took some of the blame for not being able to make the tackle.
Well, I think, there's 10 other guys on that team that have to go down and cover. So, and that's inadmirable for him to take the blame for it. But, I always used to tell guys, I had Deshaun Jackson return a ball on me where it was a foot from the sideline. Perfectly kicked. And, the guy returned it for a touchdown. So, things happen. But you got to play better than that. I know that the Giants' special teams has been solid. Graham Gano is a godsend. I mean, here we are at the beginning of the season not knowing who's going to be the field goal kicker, and all of a sudden this guy lands in your lap? You got to be kidding me, right? 24 straight field goals? I mean, what a veteran. Guy comes off the COVID list. He's in his hotel room all week kicking into the net. I mean, what a great show of ability to come out and do that. I mean, that's not easy. That's not easy just to be able to come into a game and with no practice all week. But, he's a veteran guy, so that helps him out a lot.
Yeah, that is another sensational move, an acquisition by General Manager Dave Gettleman. Another credit to him. And, I will say this, because of how good the Giants special teams have been every week, and you talked about this well before the season started, Jeff. Mm-hmm. You said that Joe Judge's mission, number one, is going to be win special teams every single weekend. Start there and then try to win one of the other 3 parts of the game and try to be as competitive as you can possibly be with that game plan. Well, I like to believe that based on what I've seen, this was an aberration. Would you agree? I know Ebner came out of the game. I believe it was a knee. Mm-hmm. He only was in there for 1 play. I don't know how much that may have had to do with something because I know he's one of the special teams leaders.
Yeah, no, definitely. And hopefully he gets better and is able to come back because he's a guy that's a special teams captain. I think Julian Love will be your guy to probably replace him as far as his leadership and things that go on special teams. He plays a lot of special team snaps. Eli Penny's another guy that plays tons and tons of special team stuff. But I think it's just an aberration. 100%, Paul. I think those you have those days, and they just didn't go right for you. They'll go back to the drawing board, and they will continue to be a good top special teams unit, and they won't let this thing bother them. They're going to work harder than they ever have to fix the things that went wrong.